Sean, now the Democrats control both the House and the Senate. Joe Biden will be able to get more of his proposed tax agenda through Congress without Republicans checking those balances there. He said earlier this year that he plans to tax the rich and raise corporate taxes. But, this still leaves many Americans concerned about how Biden's administration tax plan could affect their income and their wallet ultimately. Joining us now is founder and president of Americans for Tax Reform, Grover Norquist, and former senator from South Carolina and author of Saving America from Socialism, Jim DeMint. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
All right, Grover, I'm going to start with you. If you could just break down for our audience, what is your biggest concern for the Biden tax plan?
Well, the breadth of it. He wants to hire more auditors and do more audits. He wants to raise the corporate income tax higher than communist China's, which will lead people to invest outside the United States rather than into the United States. He wants to take the personal income tax and raise it. He says he wants to abolish all of the Trump Republican tax cuts, which means bringing back the alternative minimum tax, making the death tax higher. He wants to get rid of step up in basis when you inherit or are given something. He wants to tax energy, the so-called carbon tax. That will raise the cost of driving your car, heating your home. He wants to tax tobacco. He wants to tax sugar. And there's really no limit to the number of things he's going to raise taxes on. And he says it's on companies and rich people. But for instance, when your corporate income tax is raised, the value of your 401k or your IRA, 100 million Americans have one, that becomes less valuable. He also wants to reduce the amount of money you can put into a 401k, and he wants to have a 12.4% wage tax on anyone who earns more than $400,000. But oops, he forgot to index it. So guess who'll be paying that years from now?
Senator, when you look at what Biden is proposing, do your former colleagues in the Senate, do you think that they are going to go along with this? Or are senators, Democrats in particular, that are probably in cycle up for re-election, would they kind of pause at this? Or is this hey, this is his big ticket item, we got to get it through?
Well, Sean, that's the question, because candidates talk about a lot of things during campaigns, but getting it through the Congress, particularly the Senate right now, it could be very difficult. What Biden is talking about, raising taxes, he could probably get a lot of Democrats to vote for, but only if he spends a lot more money than he's talked about. That's the issue right now, is not only are they going to take a lot of money out of the economy, and the Tax Foundation says it will actually reduce the size of the economy, reduce the number of jobs, and reduce the amount that people are actually paid on average. The bigger issue may be that even though his plan supposedly will raise between $2 and $3 trillion over the next 10 years, they're likely to spend 2 or 3 times more on the promises that he's made. So he'll have to get all the Democrats to vote for it in the Senate, because I'd be real surprised if more than 1 or 2 Republicans would go for it.
Grover Norquist, a lot of people, Biden kept saying out there, if you're not in trouble, if you don't make over $400,000, you hit on that. But who does this tax plan hurt the most, and who does it help the most ultimately?
Well, the 5 million Americans who used to pay the Obamacare penalty tax for not buying Obamacare. That's a $700 tax for an individual, $2,000 for a family of 4. The Republicans took it to 0, but it's still sitting there. And Biden says, and has said on the campaign trail, that he wants to bring it back. So that's 5 million people, 3/4 of whom earn less than $50,000 a year. It took Obama about 2.5 months to break his pledge never to raise taxes on anyone, any kind of taxes on people who make more than $250,000 a year. Biden opens up with a series of tax increases that directly hit. The corporate income tax makes 100 million Americans poorer as their 401ks and IRAs are reduced. When the corporate income tax was cut, we increased the median income in this country, the middle income person for a family of 4, by 6.8% in 1 year because of the tax cut. He wants to repeal the whole tax cut. That will walk that back, and you will see reduced incomes that people have, and that hits directly middle income people, the median income family.
Senator DeMint, if he were to increase the payroll tax, that could disincentivize entrepreneurship. Does that concern you that most small businesses have already undergone a tremendous amount of hurt during this pandemic? And are you worried that something like that would disincentivize future entrepreneurship?
Well, it certainly could. Any expense you put on new business, but if you put an expense on hiring new people or keeping the people that you've got, and raising the payroll tax means it's going to cost you more for every person that you keep. You add that to the increase in the minimum wage that he's talking about, to $15, and this is going to affect everyone. Just like Grover said, when the taxes were reduced, even though there were a lot of claims it was going to help the rich or this group or that group, it actually helped everyone in our economy. And the reverse happens when they begin to raise taxes and then add the regulations that he's talked about. It's going to hurt everyone. So he may be targeting the rich, but the people that'll pay the biggest price are those at the lower end of the income spectrum.
Hey, Grover, your organization, Americans for Tax Reform, is renowned for this pledge that candidates take, pledging not to raise taxes. Are you concerned about Republicans breaking ranks?
I don't think a single Republican will vote for Biden's tax plan. In any piece of it, it's destructive. There's no reason to vote for it. One of the reasons the Republicans came back quickly in 2 years after Clinton won everything and then 2 years after Obama won everything is that they stuck together. They didn't vote for tax increases. They didn't vote for big spending bills. And when people got scared, worried, and they saw the economy weaken, they knew who to blame. This is going to be a very bad 2 years, but the House will be back in Republican hands in 2 years because of the reaction of the American people to all of these taxes and the fact that Biden will have lied his way into office when people look at the damage done to them with his tax increases, and they don't make as much money as Biden claimed they would have to be damaged by him.
Senator DeMint, we only have about 30 seconds left, but, you know, there's a lot of progressives who have latched on to Biden, trying to control him. They want even more progressive tax plan. Does that concern you, what could happen in the next 4 years?
It really does, because the only way for Biden to pass anything is to get their vote. And so he may try to do a modest tax increase, but in order to get their vote, he's either going to have to tax more or he's going to have to give more spending to the Green New Deal or something else. It could be very hard to watch, but it's going to be hard for them to get the votes for their craziness. The Democrats are going to have to stick together. And as Grover said, I think they'll pay a price for sticking together with the wrong ideas.
Well, let's hope it doesn't get too much more progressive. Gentlemen, thank you so much for weighing in. We'll have to have you back as things unfold with this tax plan. Thanks for weighing in tonight.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
We're going to talk to our very own Rob Schmidt about his new show right after the break. Don't go away.